Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. I think we're at this point. How are you today? I don't know if you've noticed, I'm definitely in a different spot than I normally am. So I'm traveling, but I still thought it was very important that we really bring this young man on because he's done some very interesting things, actually. And there's one thing in particular I really want you to get a chance to experience. So, welcome, Marcus Hill.
Hello, hello. I'm so excited to be here today.
Thank you so much for agreeing to join us today. As it's pretty interesting. We met a couple of weeks ago, thanks to one of my sorority sisters, who was like, "You got to meet this young man." And so I was like, "Okay, then I want you on the show, so you show people what you do." So it works out well. Works out well. So tell us, who are you and what do you do?
So, my name is Marcus Hill. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. Love my city of Little Rock, but I came up in Little Rock around the time where it wasn't so positive to be in
Okay.
Little Rock. My whole city was on a HBO special called Banging in Little Rock back in the day
Oh.
as I was coming up. And so they highlighted the worst of the city. But
Hmm.
I'm so very thankful for my grandparents, mom, church to just kind of keep me on the right path, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so because of them inspiring my life to just kind of be positive, I ended up getting into the real estate appraisal industry. And so that field is a crazy animal in itself
Hmm.
because everybody in America has to get an appraisal when you buy a house. And so I was just so very grateful that I found that industry 1 month after graduating college. And I've been in it ever since 2005, and it's been a joy. And so uh,
Good.
got into appraising. Went on to work with one of the largest mortgage giants in America, Fannie Mae,
Mhm.
where I've been one of the few to have valued a residential property in every state in America.
Oh wow, that's very cool, actually.
Uh,
Um,
and so my real estate journey just kind of took me by storm, really.
Right. Because we talked about that a little bit. We had a chance to talk a little bit a couple of weeks ago. And, one of the things I learned, this whole show is about the pivot plan. And I thought was pretty cool is you didn't go to school for this. You actually studied something else, took this as a side job, if I understand. And voila, here you are today.
Yes. Uh, it was very crazy. Honestly, I wanted to become an attorney. And
Oh,
so
wow.
after graduating college, my goal was to move back home to Little Rock, Arkansas and follow in the footsteps of my cousin. Went to the same college. He ended up going to law school. I was like, you're doing very well. Let me
Mhm,
mimic your life, right?
mhm,
And so while preparing to go to law school, I got an opportunity from a family member, friend of the family that I grew up with in church, and he kind of just was like, "Hey, you want to come work for me while you figure out the law school thing?" I was like, "Sure." But he was an appraiser, and
mhm,
so at 24 years old, I was training or just kind of working as an appraiser, but that gave me the opportunity to literally find my passion, though.
mhm,
And so
mhm.
that in itself, and I just look at that journey, it was just like, it was just a stellar opportunity for me to be able to find something that I enjoyed. And once
Mhm.
I started training, I didn't think about going to law school anymore.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, because I saw in my city that I was in, I didn't see anybody my age or
Mhm.
even my
Yeah.
race um, learning to appraise properties. And so that inspired me to want to be like, you know what, I want to be the first in the state, the youngest to start that type of company.
And it's interesting you say that because, I actually was just having this conversation like 3 days in a row. Um, Industries like yours isn't one of those industries that people just readily think of. When they're thinking about going to school, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, it's definitely influencer space, the marketing space, that kind of thing. But those are, it's a really good job and a really good opportunity, and also a really good opportunity for a small business owner. How does an appraiser, candidly make their money? You don't have to tell me dollars and cents, but what are you charging for? What are some of the products that you offer?
Absolutely. So listen, the appraisal field is just its own animal because as soon as you get your license, you literally can go to entrepreneurship. So
Mhm.
I started training at 24, and I literally got my license at 26.
Okay, so 2 years.
Yeah, and so that next month after I got my license, I was in business.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so because you get licensed through the state, then now you're able to start your own company. But the beautiful thing about the appraisal industry is that every home buyer that buys a house, the bank needs you.
Okay.
You
Right.
don't even have to really
Right.
market yourself because the bank needs you to close the deal. And
Okay.
so, I realized that when I was working with my mentor, I was just understanding the lay of the land. Like, wow, like the bank can't do nothing without your value,
Mm-hmm.
right? The
Mm-hmm.
homeowner can't get the house without your value. So you are needed.
Right.
And so I also saw that appraisal fees are not cheap as well. Like the
Mm-hmm.
average appraisal fee per property for just like a regular residential house could
Hmm.
be anywhere between 450 to seven hundred
Okay.
dollars.
And does that vary by market?
Depends on probably where you are in the country. You
Right.
know,
Because I was about to say in Miami, I would imagine it's a lot more.
probably a lot higher, and so, but that's per house. So
Mhm.
at 26 years old, I was doing 2 3 deals a day
Right. Right.
in small Arkansas. But just
Right.
imagine what appraisers are making every day, because every single person that goes through the home buying process and uses a mortgage loan by way of a mortgage broker or a bank, they're
Mhm.
going to require them to have an appraisal. So just think
Right.
about every single day. Millions of people buy and sell every day, and they need that appraisal.
Now, why is that important for a homeowner? I mean, and especially, you know, you and I are both black. There's that piece of the pie that always seems to be missing when it comes to black wealth. Why is it important to us to really understand what value you bring to us and our worth?
Oh, it's everything, because in our community we buy houses. We need to understand the value of properties.
Hmm.
We need to learn about improvements. Appraisers can help you understand what you can put in your house
Hmm.
to increase the value. So
Hmm.
now you can take a little of that equity now in your house and go start a business, go send your kid to college. Like, understanding property equity and how appraisers play that role in things that we buy as far as
Hmm.
properties is
Hmm.
everything. And so I love sharing, just kind of help people understand what they can do to their house to increase the value. So
Uh-huh.
now you can use that equity.
Right. Right.
And then, um, you know, a lot of people go through the home buying process, and I'm gonna tell you, the typical thing is when you go through the home buying process, you pay for the appraisal, and the lender sends you the appraisal report, and then basically all we do is look at the value and put that report in some email
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
somewhere, right? Or put
Hmm.
it in some cabinet. But what I love sharing is to kind of learn the top 5 things to look at on the appraisal report. So you'll know that you know your value. Like, this is what
Right.
it's supposed to look like.
Right.
And so that's very important in our community, to just kind of increase our education around just understanding the appraisal process, because everybody has to get one, and we
Right.
need to
Right.
educate ourselves a little bit
Right.
more about that.
I've learned a lot through that with, just trying to get access to money. There's always the first thing you want to do is look at the value of your home. So that's been a really good learning process as well. Okay, so then you pivoted from what I could see from your bio, you got into investing properties. Why?
So as
Investing
an
in property. Why?
yeah, so as an appraiser, I would do appraisals for investors on their deals, and I'm just, I
Why?
was very, I was
Why?
very young. I was 26 when I started my appraisal company, so I'm just opening up my horizon around real estate. But as an appraiser, I'm putting values on people's investors' deals, and I'm seeing them like, wow, I just made this person like $20,000.
Why? Why
And so
can't
I'm
I get
like,
one for me?
the light bulb came off. I'm like, why am I not doing this? And so I ended up starting buying multiple properties, and just kind of really getting into that
Mhm.
space, because as an appraiser, you know the value of the home right now.
Mhm.
You know what you can do to increase the value,
Right.
and you know how to estimate repairs. So I just kind of use the knowledge that I had as as being an appraiser, also into my investing world. And so, and I
Are
love
you flipping or are you in some cases renting? Mm,
both,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so, but it's just the aspect of like, because the appraiser is trained a certain kind of way, they can understand what's a good deal and what's not a good deal.
Right.
And so that's what I love showing people actually through coaching.
Right.
Just kind of what in your market, what's a good deal? Because just because a property has repairs, it doesn't mean that it's not overpriced.
Right. Right.
And so
Right.
that's what that secret sauce is, of just understanding that.
And you do that for people all over the country.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a full time coaching business, consulting,
Okay.
and also invest myself. So I also do not only rentals and flipping, but Airbnb is big now. I also do travel nurse homes
Mhm.
and yeah, it's just and Airbnb. Yeah,
Okay.
so
Okay, cool. Okay, so this is the part that I thought was very, very cool. So a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago now, I get a phone call out the blue from my sorority sister who tells me about this person who's created a virtual meeting room, offices, the whole enchilada. And I was like, really? So we hop on this thing, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. Taking under consideration, after COVID, Zoom became a thing, platforms like this became a thing. And I was like, it was just interesting to me that a you were into real estate, but your expertise wasn't necessarily into web design or IT, but you were a real estate investor who was able to figure out or create an opportunity for yourself for building construction in this virtual space. I thought it was really cool. So I'm going to turn it over to you so you can show people what we're talking about, if you don't mind. And
sure. So
I
I'll
thought,
share my screen. Um, let's see.
and we're trying something new today, y'all. We've never done this before. So let me see. Let me see.
So
Add to the stage. Okay, there they go. Okay.
so do you see my screen now?
Yes, I do.
So welcome to my virtual lobby.
Great.
So and so this is an introduction to my virtual community, and it's a real estate community where I support real estate agents, first time home buyers, first time investors, people that want to become an appraiser. Um, so I created this community because I also full time speak, different places and host workshops, different places around the country. But I wanted a way to connect with the people that I have connected to in a in person event. So I bring
Right.
them into my community where, during this section, you walk into my lobby where I have a video explaining the community. But then you also can schedule a free consultation with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a value venture community directory. So most people have appointments already set up with me, and so once they kind of take a look at the lobby, the video in the lobby, they just hit chat with Marcus, which will then take them into my virtual office. And let me
Right.
see
Watch
if
this, y'all.
I can get us in there.
Look,
Let's
because
see.
it's really cool. Now, so this community, is it a community or is it more of, for lack of a better way to put it, rental space?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Not only design these rooms to support my coaching business and coaching clients, but also I have uh, these rooms and spaces that people can literally rent out. Like, for instance, like a
Mhm.
real estate agent that wants to host like a virtual event, I will kind of coach them on how to start a virtual event. And
Mhm.
then they can literally rent out these rooms to host their own virtual thing for their prospective buyers. And
Can
also,
you can
go
you
ahead.
show us like one of the auditorium? The auditorium may be one of the good spots to
Oh,
show.
absolutely. So I have an appraisal one-on-one workshop coming up for real
Mhm.
estate agents, and I'm going to take you guys into the room where I'm actually going to host this this event. One second. Let's see. 1 second.
See all those different rooms. So, and you could rent them out really at the same time. So if 12
Absolutely.
different folks wanted to have 12 different things, you could rent it out at the same time.
Absolutely. So this is actually where I'm going to host an appraisal one-on-one workshop for real estate agents.
Very nice.
And so people are going to come up in here and start popping in here in the circles, everybody that registered, and then I'll host a whole event right in here.
Can the PowerPoint show up in where the appraisal 101 is?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And also, I think you showed, look, I'm telling all the stuff. You could see each other's faces in there as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just like Zoom. I'm not sure why the camera is not detecting, but it's just like Zoom.
Okay. Okay. But
And
just a cooler
yeah,
setup. Right.
yeah, absolutely.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
you can share your screen in here, and you can upload documents. Like um, I may have a document that I want people to follow, like a workbook,
Hmm.
and so I'll
Hmm.
upload it in here, and they can download that workbook to the computer.
Oh, cool. Oh, cool. Oh, cool. So, have you had thus far a lot of interest in many of these rooms? I think you showed me several different workspaces, office spaces, and then also like a happy hour space. Have you had a lot of interest in this?
Absolutely. I've met with people from where you are in Florida. I've hosted events for people in Atlanta, St. Louis, New Orleans, Dallas, like, and I'm just kind of building this thing around like appraisal education because that's what most people don't get,
Right, I
you
agree.
know. And so that's my secret sauce of like connecting with me. Like I'm going to help you understand things that you may not ever heard about the appraisal industry to help you and your clients, you know, to kind of go through the process of, home ownership, just kind of understanding things around appraisal education.
Well, when you came to this idea, was it more about being able to train, or was it more about this is going to be one of my products, or both?
A little bit of both. You know,
Okay.
I wanted to create my own world,
Okay.
virtually.
Okay.
And so that way I can just connect with anybody that finds out about me and wants to get educated. Is not only hosting events, but I have a whole credit room where you can work on your credit. I have
Right.
a business funding room where I can help educate you on how to get funded to do some real estate projects or start a business
Okay.
or learn about mortgages, learn about insurance. So literally, this is like a financial literacy pl- on steroids. You know,
Playground. Yeah. You learn everything from beginning to end. So let's talk a little bit about what it took to build something like this. You are not, if I understand correctly, able to do this kind of back end technical work. You had to work with the developer, correct?
yeah, yeah.
So when you
Def-
look at this, clearly was some type of proprietary project that was intellectual property. What were some of the things if someone were to get into this kind of creating opportunity like this? What do you advise? How do you advise they start?
Actually, they can just book a free consultation with me, and I can help them get set up or and help them create their own world. But
Okay.
yes, I definitely linked up with a developer that kind of put this together. But also these rooms that I have, they're customized. Nobody has nothing like this.
So
Uh,
did you have to go to an attorney and say, okay, this is my intellectual property, this is my design, how do I protect it?
uh, Not so much there because the developer owns the platform,
Okay.
but I just, for my customization of these rooms,
Mhm.
they're just something that I've created.
So the designs themselves belong to you. The
Yes,
platform belongs to the developer.
you're right.
So are y'all technically considered partners on this effort?
Well, it's just a platform to kind of host things. So,
Okay. Mhm.
you know, I'm just
Bring us
like
back.
somebody else that is using it, but I've just kind of created my own way of using it.
Okay. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. So I wanted to show y'all that because I thought that was super, super cool. And definitely in my mind a way to scale. A lot of times people are trying to figure out what's that next step. But I've heard of airspace that you can rent, but I never heard of virtual space you can rent. That was kind of cool. um so I forgot what I was about to ask you, and it was very important. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about your book, because
Okay.
you actually also released a book. Did it? Well, okay, wait, sorry, stop. Go back to the virtual room. Did that come out of COVID, by the way? Was that something that became a brainchild during the pandemic?
Well, actually, so I was working in my government job
Mm-hmm.
in with the company, and I was in this high level meeting where they showed a statistic from actually the Appraisal Institute showed a statistics of appraisers in America, and
Okay.
so when I saw that the average age was 50 to 65,
Mm-hmm.
and then I saw that there were not many African Americans in the field,
Mm-hmm.
I immediately thought, wow, I never share my story. Like
Mm-hmm.
my story will probably help people understand
Mm-hmm.
how to become an appraiser. Like what's the
Mm-hmm.
day in the life? Like how to even think about getting into the industry. And so I'm very personable in the book. I literally give people my journey, what it was like
Okay.
to learn this field at 24 years old,
Okay.
when the
It's your
average age is
story.
50. So
Right.
yes, it's my personal story,
Okay.
and so the first half of the book, it's like my journey. I'm learning. I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking the reader through the process and my journey. But the second part of the book, I got whole chapters about buying your first house, first time home buyer. This is what you need to know. You
Okay.
want to be a landlord? Here's what you need to know. Want to become an appraiser? Got a whole chapter for that. You want to understand HGTV flipping shows from an appraiser aspect? I got a
Uh-huh.
chapter for you that. And then I literally end the book with a letter to my younger self because I had some tough choices back in the day growing up, and I could have made a wrong. I was a decision away from a totally different life, and so I
Really?
wanted to write uh, a letter to my younger self to encourage myself to continue down the right path because
Mhm, mhm.
you decided to do that. Now we're out traveling around the world,
Right,
sharing your
right.
story and inspiring people. And so
Okay.
I think the book was needed because you don't really see people talking about the industry, but you
Right.
have to
That's
get
true.
one
That's
in the
true.
home buying process. So
That's and I think that's very I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's very key right now is to really tap back into some of those industries that one aren't well known or people just maybe take for granted or don't think exist, but especially in this space where everybody's sort of doing this um influencer, everybody's an influencer, but you're not net how what are some of the things that you could do? um I'm not trying to dispel anybody's dream. I'm actually someone doing the same thing, but how do you look at some more jobs that might be a little bit more stable until you can really get the momentum going? And this is a really good job.
absolutely, it's a career. Most people that get into this field, they're in it for 20 years plus.
Right,
Just think
right.
about it. The average age is 50. So most people work a job and then they find out about this and then they like, oh,
Let me
this
do
is
something different.
this is great.
This is better. I
uh,
can write my own check and get my own
absolutely.
food.
And
So
learning in the field at 26 allowed me to be a entrepreneur. But then I was working at home at 26 years old. I
right.
was literally my own boss, working from home, and in a wide open career.
Now, you said you travel globally. I did notice that in your bio because I like to travel as well, and you really are into sort of global real estate. Have you invested internationally at this point?
I haven't just yet, but I have my eyes on a few places.
Okay,
So,
okay. Do
and
you find it a different process?
it is a different process. And what I've noticed is like some areas or countries, they don't really have that appraisal process. So,
Oh, really?
so like for instance, Africa, you get the money to build, right? But then
Hmm.
they don't have a banking system like America does,
Right.
and so it's just a different thing there. But you can still buy land, you can build, you can rent out, you
Okay.
can do all the same things, but just kind of learning the landscape of different countries is what's been really interesting. I've actually been looking into the Dominican Republic here
Okay.
recently, and so it's definitely a different landscape there as well. Um, but yeah, you can just it's just more about what the intended use is going to be,
Is
like
is the goal to ultimately get to development?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
When you got that real estate bug and you can just understand numbers, you can kind of do whatever you feel passionate about.
And if you, because it sounds to me that you've done very well and you're very successful in what you do. And I've never asked this before, and you tell me if I'm completely out of line. But may I ask what your age is today?
Oh, so I'm 42 today.
Okay, so really roughly, what, 16, 14, 16 years you've been able to really kind of now look at this whole international space. So yeah, I highly encourage, and I will tell anybody that will listen that they need to really start looking at some of these industries that we are missing the boat on.
And I'll tell you, it's the easiest time in history to become an appraiser today.
Mhm.
Back when I got started, back in 2005, you had to have a college degree to even
Mhm.
be a trainee. And then you also have to have a college degree to get the first license. But
Okay.
now you don't have to have a college degree to be a trainee, and then you don't have to have a college degree to get the first license now. And
Okay.
the first license, you can appraise properties up to $1 million.
Okay. Okay.
So it's a wide open field now. But I feel like the industry has realized that since the average age is 50 to 50,
They need to
65,
open it up. Mhm.
like
They need to open
we
it
need
up.
more people to come into the field.
Because
And
it
so
would be a lost, was talking to someone the other day. We were talking about seamstress. That's going to be a lost art. So that, ultimately we aren't going to have any. So if we don't do this with appraisers, it's going to be like,
yes,
it's going to be all over. It's going to be all over.
yeah, and that's why I'm so passionate about sharing how to get licensed in your state. And
Okay.
that's why I wrote the book to kind of leave a legacy of his story, of how he got
Okay.
into it, to make it somebody else's story. Like, yes, I want to do this because I read this book or got some information or attended a workshop. And just just to inspire people and to support. I just think when you got the heart to support, like you can
Mhm.
just
That make
kind
the
of do whatever
world.
you want to do.
What is the name of the book and where can we find it?
Absolutely. So the name of the book is called Assessing My Value:
Okay.
Thoughts from a Trailblazer in the Real Estate Industry. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
Oh, wow.
I even it's even selling on Walmart.com's platform.
Okay. Okay.
So
Very
and
cool.
so
You got
yeah,
links everywhere. And is it selling well?
it's been doing well. I've been to over 14 cities across the U.S. and
Okay.
so I have literally sold out of books everywhere I've been. I
Good.
was I
Good.
was recently in the D.C. at the Congressional Black Caucus Week.
Oh,
Uh,
good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had
and
friends that were there.
yeah, and so my book was showcased at the Authors Literacy Circle,
Oh, cool.
and so
Yeah,
that was just an amazing experience
very cool.
to kind
Very
of
cool.
let people see my work. And but it's been doing pretty good. Got some good reviews on Amazon, and I wrote the book to kind of talk to different types of people. Yeah, I talk a lot about appraisal stuff, but for the first time home buyer, here's what you need to know. Like,
Right,
you
right,
know, you
right.
want to get into investments?
This is
Here's some
what you need
tips
to
and
know.
strategies,
Mhm. Okay,
and
okay,
then just I want the book to just inspire people to just go out there what you're passionate about.
great.
No matter if it's appraisals or whatever, but just find passion of what you want to do in life
Great,
and go after it.
great, great. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. I really do appreciate it. And I really like the sharing the screen. That was new for me, so I learned something today too. Before we go, how can we find you?
So I'm at Instagram at Ask Marcus Hill. I'm on LinkedIn at Marcus Hill and Facebook Marcus Hill as well. And yeah, tap in with me. Love to connect, and definitely would love people to grab the book and give it to your sons, your daughters, your nieces and nephews. You
Yes.
know, and just to kind of increase more information around home ownership. And yeah, definitely just love the support. I'm also a full-time speaker, so I definitely come to people's cities to kind of do workshops or how to become an appraiser or any kind of real estate talk. So
Well, if you come to Miami, please reach out.
I
And if
will.
I hear of any good real estate opportunities, I'll let you know.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Anytime. Anytime. Well, thank you all very much for joining us again today. As I mentioned, I know that I don't think we've done anything with someone with regards to real estate and definitely not appraising. So I'm very excited about that. I hope you all will join me again. Actually, next week, we are going to be streaming, but for those of you who are in the Miami area or the Broward County area, we're going to be in person with Dr. Willie Long at the Center for Black Innovation. So I hope you can stop by and meet me personally and let me know if you had a chance to see this show tonight. And tell me, you got to tell me. I know you're going to tell me that you learned some stuff. So thanks so much and have a great day.